Hi, I'm Dr. Alex Favazza, Director of Choral Activities at the University of New Hampshire here in Durham, New Hampshire. And I'm making this video with tips for students who are auditioning for Allstate in New Hampshire in the vocal area. And so I know things are a little bit different this year because we don't get the opportunity to audition in person and perform for an actual human being, but we will be submitting videos and auditioning virtually. And so I want to give you a few tips about the piece that you'll be singing for auditions, Danza Danza Fanciulla, and also talk briefly about the chorale. And so I want to talk first about diction, that's how we pronounce the words in this piece, and then about interpretation, musicality, and briefly about breath support, and then we'll talk for just a second about the chorale. So the great thing about the edition that you're using for this audition, the Alfred 26 Italian Songs and Arias, is that on the first page it includes an IPA transcription. An IPA stands for International Phonetic Alphabet. So it's an international system for how we identify sounds. And so it's totally specific. And so it might look weird and actually more confusing to those of you who've never seen it before, but if you embrace it, it tells you a lot of really specific things about how to pronounce this piece while you're singing it. And so we're going to look briefly at that. So if you turn to that first page in your edition, and it's the page that looks like this, and so you'll see on the right-hand side at the top you have the IPA, all right? And so the name of the song itself, Danza, all right? It's a bright Italian danza. And then so it's like pizza, danza, za, za, all right? And then fanciulla, gentile. And notice that it's not gentile, but J-A, closed E, and then closed I, E, and then closed E, A. So gentile, all right? And it's okay, feel free to go all the way on those vowels, all the way to the closed E. And then al mio cantar, r. Never be worried about rolling the R at the end of a word in Italian or at the beginning of a word. In fact, just that R in IPA means a trilled R. So cantar, and then you notice the next word, cantare. It has the R that's just like this. That's a flip. But still, that final syllable in cantare, is a closed E. And that's a sound we don't really use in English very much, but it's very common in European languages, like Italian. And then gira, leggera, sottile, and you see that E coming back, the regular E in IPA, E. Okay, and it's not E and it's not A, it's E. And so knowing which specific one of the vowels you're going to sing on a word is really helpful in this piece because they change. Like if you look down here where it says con languido suon. Notice that suon has this shape, the backwards O. That's an open O, like you ought to go. Suon, O, versus O, like Copenhagen, O. And so notice that changes in that very line. Con languido suon. And so that's really important to note those things. If you notice in the edition, sometimes that's actually been put in there for you. Like if you look in bar 9 on page 106, you'll see that the E there is leggera. All right, and so that helps because those are two different E's, le and gera. And then the next one, you see sotti, sotti. And notice when there's two consonants, you have to put a little bit of love on there, a little bit longer. Like you don't go sotti, but sotti, sotti. And that the T is behind the teeth rather than sotti, T. It's sotti on the teeth. And you put a little bit of time. Sotti, like that. And then notice the next line in bar 11, you see that they put that backward circle O in the actual music, suon. Okay? So notice, pay deep attention to the diction. And actually that focus of intensity of looking at the diction will make you sing it better too, because you'll be really on task. And then work to memorize, because the audition needs to be memorized. And so work to memorize those specific vowels. So next I want to talk a little bit about interpretation. So you have dynamics and dynamic movements and breath marks in the score, and I know that the judge would love to hear those. But are there more dynamic things that you can do by just what's in front of you? So I had a teacher that liked to say the rule of the steady beat, meaning that if there's a note that's longer than the steady beat of the piece, if you notice this is in 6/4, so anything that's longer than a quarter note, because 4 is the quarter note, and so that's the steady beat. So anything that's longer than a steady beat, you got to do something with it. And so if I'm looking at this line, that's the... Now, did I play notes longer than the steady beat? Absolutely, it's filled with them. And so those are opportunities for you to be musical. And I guarantee you that if you sing something like Chorale sottile al suon dell'onde nel mar, and that it will show so much more passion and excitement. And so it also moves that line forward. And what's happening otherwise? The piano has a lot of stuff going on. So they're going da 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 dum, dee da 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 dum, da da da, and you're dancing with them like the song danza. When you do that, al suon dell'onde del mar, like that. And so think of it like a dance, and it'll be really special for you. Also, there's a trill, right, in bar 21, and what do we do with that? Well, we want to come from above it. Why? Normally, trills you start on the note and go up, like that. But since this is in the Baroque style of Francesco Durante, you want to actually come from above note on it. Like that. So, languido suon, like that. So the next thing I want to say about this piece is that it has a really wide range. It goes from, I'm looking at the baritone version right now, which is a third below the higher version, but it starts off the very first line going to quite a high note for baritones. So that starts off high, and then at the very end, you have the opposite treatment, right? Woo! And it's quite a big range. So if you're having trouble with those higher notes, what I would do is sing them through 2 different ways and then put them back on the text. So the first one is take a drinking straw and put that in your mouth and sing it. And I know that sounds crazy, but you put that in there and you're going, so if you're thinking just ooh, ooh, it's right there. So, ooh, and if you have that drinking straw in your mouth, it's going to create pressure, and it's called Semi-Occluded vocal tract exercise. It helps set your larynx lower, so you don't go da da dance up, but da da dance on, like that. The difference, and you want to then do it with a lip trill. So. One of the biggest problems I hear is that students' chords are not closing all the way. There's letting extra air come through, and you're hearing like a breathy, all right? The way you get those chords to close is by effectively using your breath, low breath, and then, but if you'll do those 2 exercises, you can't do the lip trill if your chords aren't closing. It'll happen. And then transfer that into singing it. So sing long phrases of it on a lip trill, and then go back and put them on text. I promise you'll be happy with the results. So that's the piece. Let's talk briefly about the chorale. Okay? So you can sing the chorale on a neutral syllable or numbers or solfege. And all of those are great. Any of those systems works very well. What I would tell you is that use the system that is most comfortable for you. Yes, it's impressive when someone uses solfege or when someone uses numbers effectively. That's wonderful. But if you don't use numbers on a regular basis, don't start using numbers today for this audition. But solfege is great because it gives us a reference. The same with numbers. It gives us a reference to the scale degree that we're on. But note that there are certain notes in there that are altered. And so you have to alter the syllable that you're singing there. And what I would say is sing it musically. Sing it musically. If you can make the song, if you can make something that even, say you hear the chorale and you think it's, oh, this is kind of boring. Well, the truth is, it's if you can make it exciting. Can you make something simple exciting? And that's what a real professional musician does. They take even the simplest of things that they get musically and they make it exciting. and make it engaging. And so treat the chorale like it's a solo, like there's a story behind it, and sing it with musicality. And use the system that you're comfortable with right now. I highly advocate for solfege. But if you don't do solfege, do the neutral syllable. It's perfectly acceptable for your audition. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this. I appreciate you enduring some of my singing and some of my advice on the audition. That being said, we'd love for you to audition here at UNH if you're looking to study music in college. Also, if you're looking to come to UNH for another major, all non-majors can participate in our ensembles. And audition and participate in ensembles. And so if you're interested in that, please check out our website and sign up for an audition. And if you would like to talk with me or any of our other faculty, we'd be happy to email with you or Zoom with you. But just get in contact with us via our website, unh.edu or cola.unh.edu.